Welcome to solartechdiy.com. This is Pat speaking. What I'm going to show you today is how to add the 9th solar cell to an existing string that contains 8. Why would we do this, you would ask? Well, let me tell you. When you're setting up your strings of solar cells to lay upon the substrate inside the solar panel, it's done with strings. Strings will vary in number of solar cells contained within, depending on how many watts or the size of your solar panel. For this demonstration, we are working with a 72 watt solar panel, or that's the designer watts. We use 3" by 6" polycrystalline solar cells. They approximately give us about, we'll say 1 3/4 to 2 watts. Solar cells always contribute half a volt, so really it's about a 1.5 watt solar cell. But it's not the power of the single solar cell that matters. It's the combined contribution from all 36 of them. So that's why it's important to do a good job soldering. Doing a good job soldering involves taking good care of your soldering tip. Now I have a separate video demonstrating the care and maintenance of your solder gun, solder iron, solder tip combination. And if you've watched the video, you're familiar with this device I'm using. That's the brass sponge solder tip cleaner. And I'm holding the tip up to the camera here in an attempt to show you that it's intact, it's in good shape, and it's free from debris. And consistent with our earlier lessons, we are tinning our solder tip. And remember, by tinning, we're helping to reduce the occurrence of oxidation. Now, we're soldering our first tabbing strip. You should have already seen this as well as done this if you're working on your own solar module. If you haven't yet soldered a solar cell and you're just gathering information, make sure you have all that's available. Feel free to watch and keep notes. You can shoot me an email if you have a question. Patrick@solartechdiy.com. I will help you in any way I can. Now, we have already soldered the top tabbing strip. We're moving on to the bottom. And just as a refresher, we're going to talk about how we're aligning our tabbing wire so it fits specifically and precisely within the boundaries of the bus bar. I use weights to help me as placeholders, and as you just noticed, I thought I had a good position, but I didn't. I had to pull off the weights, reposition, and then resecure. It's far better to take the weights off, reposition the tabbing wire, as opposed to recognizing you've got some sort of an alignment issue and damn the torpedo's full speed ahead, which is fine in some circumstances, but unfortunately not here, because once you solder it into position, you're going to have a heck of a time moving it. But you won't make that mistake because you've watched the video and you've got this down like a science. Okay, I'll keep telling myself that. You keep working on it and we'll meet in the middle, okay? All right, so we finished this individual cell. Now we're going to bring in, this will be a mini string. This will represent the 7th and 8th cells in the string that we're compiling. And that cell you just watched me prepare is the 9th, respectively. So we want to position our pair, and for this particular video, we're going to use the edge of our pine board to get the alignment that we're looking for. Again, using our cushioned weights, and since we're on the subject, the weights are made from sockets from a toolbox. common everyday item. I'm sure most people have sockets laying around. And then I cushion them. In the instruction manual, you'll see a sidebar box explaining what tool or what materials I used and how to do it. You just watched me wet the rosin flux pen. I will say it every time I make a film to reinforce it because it's so important. First of all, you always use your rosin flux pen on your bus bars and bus tabs, but it's the way that you use it that we're going to talk about here. Anytime you use a flux pen, you need to wet the tip, which means pushing it against that board, which saturates it so that you don't have to put pressure and end up with what I'm about to show you, micro cracks. Now, after I had applied the rosin flux to that top rightmost bus tab, I noticed a micro crack. Now, I'm worried about this. I am leaning against using it, but we're already committed in the video, so let's see what happens. Let's roll the dice. Although I don't want you ever to take that attitude. You never want to roll the dice. And I say that jokingly, but I have no intention of letting fate decide whether this works or not. What we're going to do is we'll go ahead and, for demonstration purposes, show you how to add this 9th cell to your mini string. But then we're going to test it. I have an indoor solar cell testing platform that's custom made. I have a video posted on my YouTube channel, and you'll see it in the instruction manual. You're more than welcome to copy it. I'm sure that many of you have gone outside to test your solar cells in the sunshine, only to have the wind catch an edge of your pair that you're taking out to the sun, and you watch helplessly as the wind lifts it up off your platform, and your reflexes instinctively react by trying to catch the item, and boom, it's gone, shattered. So by testing indoors, we are able to save our cells from being exposed to that particular hazard. And more importantly, if you're like me and you sometimes work on your solar modules all night, you can test at 2 in the morning if you want to, 3 in the morning. But one thing is for sure, you never want to add a pair into a string that has not been tested. That is the cardinal sin. And you really only hurt yourself if you do that shortcut, because if you have a bad pair that you've inserted into a string, you won't know about it until you've completed your encapsulation or covered your module and it's too late. So I'm going to finish soldering these back bus tabs, and then I'm going to put it up onto the test platform, and we'll film that episode so you can see right along with me if we've got a viable mini string here. We would never put it into service without first testing. We will see you on the test platform. Thanks for joining me.